everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I have one of my favorite people in the world on the podcast today. You're lucky. If you caught this episode, you're a very lucky listener, because the person you're going to hear today is all about building community, sharing the space with other people, and promoting others over herself. And that's what I love. It's very unselfish and very loving and caring person. Mm-hmm. Julie Lokun's on the podcast, and she has a great book. She has great meetups for people in podcasting. She helps people with publishing, on and on and on. I could just list everything, and we couldn't even talk to her because there's so much to talk about her. But I'd rather talk with her. So, Julie, welcome to the podcast. So glad to have you here.
David, I'm so nervous. I get to be on your podcast finally.
Nervous.
This has been something that we've been talking about for a long time, and the reality is here. So pinch me. And our host, David, is amazing.
There we go. So Julie and I met on Clubhouse, and anytime Julie showed up in a room, you sit up straight, because when Julie comes to the mic, she has something to say, and it's always uplifting, encouraging. She's very supportive, and I learn so much by just sitting and listening when Julie speaks, that to have you on the podcast is a little surreal for me, to be honest. I'm a little fanboying at the moment, because I really enjoy your content and I love what you do for people. And one of the things I really enjoy is your meetups. And I wish you were doing them daily because they're so good, but that's way too much. But monthly, we get together with other podcasters around the world. I have made great connections with you as the host, with the people in the room, some of the nicest podcasters you'll ever meet. So can you talk a little bit, Julie, about how you set up your meetups originally and how long you've been doing them, and a little bit of information about your meetups?
Well, meetups are just a great tool. It's like the OG of just building a community. They've been around for such a long time. And one day, I think maybe it was a year and a half, 2 years ago, I said, I'm going to just check this out. Just how can I actually build a community on Meetup? And it happened so quickly. Just the algorithms of Meetup just push people my way, depending on what your topic is. And all of a sudden, I clicked on my computer just to check out my Meetup group, and there were 300 people signed up. And I was like, oh gosh, this is amazing. And I have 4 Meetup groups, but my podcasting one is my flagship. I also have one on write, publish and sell your book. And I have one on networking, just as purely networking. And then there's one that it has nothing to do with any of this stuff. It's, it's more to help people heal after a divorce, which I don't lead, a friend leads. And I was just supporting her and her message. So my community has grown. I would say right now it's like at 14 or 1,500 people, which is incredible, because I don't do any marketing or anything. I just hold my meetups, and whoever wants to come can come. And I want to connect other people. I think that's so important, getting people behind the scenes connecting with each other. And once you do that, it's less work for the lead moderator, because you're building a community that likes each other, even if you're not there. And it makes it feel like a family.
Yeah. And I like too, one thing you do is you break us into smaller groups.
Oh yeah. I love that.
Which I love, because sometimes it's a little overwhelming. There's X number of people in the room and you feel like you don't have a voice. Mm-hmm. You feel nervous to speak up in a big group, but then these little breakout rooms, and you kind of match us up with other people. Mm-hmm. And I love how you split it up. You have more seasoned podcasters and maybe some new podcasters, and you mix us all together, and then you jump from room to room as the host. Mm-hmm. And I see you pop in the room, and I'm like, oh, Julie's here.
You better behave.
It's kind of neat how you do that. I love it. But yeah, I just love the structure of how you do your meetups. And tell me a little bit about some of the feedback you've heard from attendees to the meetup.
For the most part, people seem to like it. And I have a lot of repeat people coming in, which always tells me I'm doing something right. There's always new people. They do love those small breakout rooms, because for the most part, especially if you're a podcaster, you want to speak. You want your voice to be heard. I know as human beings, all of us human beings, we are validated. We want to be heard, whether we're a physician or a podcaster or a teacher or someone working at a gas station. We all want to be heard. And I recognize that nobody wants to just hear me talking. They want to share ideas. And the ability to share ideas is where I find the gold. And I learn so much from all of the attendees.
Yeah, I love it. And so being in those meetups, I guess sometimes when people hear the word meetup, they're thinking, okay, how much does this cost for me to come and be a part of this?
Very expensive.
It's
free.
It's so expensive, right? It's free. So, and that's what I love when I came in the room, Julia. It starts with the host for the meetup. It starts with you. You set the tone for the night, and just the way that you carry your meetups, so welcoming for somebody who's new. You just feel like you're part of the team, part of the group right away. And I love how you do that. So it's exciting.
Well, thank you, David. It is fun, and I get to meet new people every time I do it. And that's what I love. I am an extrovert, I would say, by nature. And you can be an introvert or extrovert. Extrovert really means I gain energy from being around other people. And this energizes me every single time I click on Zoom and I see all these faces pop up and hearing their stories. It's incredible.
Yeah. So on top of doing amazing meetups, you're also pulling together a conference. I don't know how you have time to do all this stuff. I have no idea how you have time to do this, by the way. But it's
Says the man who has 7 podcasts. Okay.
Oh, okay. I know. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
There we go.
Creative Con is coming up. Talk about this. Let's plug, because the people you have coming to speak, out of this world, by the way.
Well, thank you.
You have such a great circle of friends and influencers and content creators and speakers. I don't know. I can tell. I know why you do, because people are gravitated to you. But tell me about your speaker lineup. Tell us about the event. I need you to plug this because it's amazing.
Well, it's not really a plug. It's something that has been in my DNA for years and years. And I always wanted to do a live event that empowers people to take their lives to a different level. I see so many people stuck in that 9 to 5, the hamster wheel, thinking they can't do things like podcasting or write a book or speak on stages and then get the publicity or promotions to elevate their brand or voices. Even if you're doing all these things just because you love it, you do need to get your brand, your message out. So the speaker list is incredible. And a lot of them have become friends of mine over the years. They've been clients of mine. I have the former National Security Advisor to the President, Admiral Gary E. Hall. He'll be there. Someone you might know, Kim D from The Real Housewives of New Jersey. She's amazing. I'm actually going to visit her next week. We have Detective Chris Anderson, who was a star of Reasonable Doubt. We have best-selling authors. We have TEDx speakers, people that are changing the fabric of how we are creatives or content creators. And we're making content right now, David and I. And doing it right, expressing your creativity. I know for so long I was afraid to use my voice because people always tell me I'm too much, I'm over the top. So I tampered it down until I was about 40 and recognized that I am a content creator at heart. And this is what I want to help people unleash into the world and make it digestible, make it not scary. And if you already are a content creator, let's take your brand, your content to the next level.
Okay, so tell me about where is the event, the date of the event, the website. Let's do the whole thing. We got to do the whole package.
Oh, wow. Thanks, David. It's called Creative Con. That's CRE, the number 8, TIVE, TIVE, con.com, creativecon.com. It is in the Chicagoland area in the most wonderful month to come and visit us, February 17th and 18th. It's a 2-day conference where you'll be rubbing elbows with all these people. You'll be networking. You'll be elevating your brand. You'll be learning tools. You'll be having fun. You'll be entertained. And you won't leave the same person you were when you came to the actual event. So as you know, Chicago is not known for its beautiful weather in February, but I thought it was the perfect weekend because it's the weekend after the Super Bowl here in the United States. And it's that weekend where everybody is like, tired of winter. Let's get together and create our own summer, our own excitement, the warmth. Let's do something different and so powerful that we are going to just change the trajectory of our 2024.
Love it. And we in podcasting always talk about our why. What are you hoping for attendees to Creative Con? What are you hoping, besides a little gift bag or a new contact, what are you hoping that people walk out the door with that changes the trajectory of who they are and what they do in content world?
Well, really, my hope is that they think differently about creating content. I want them to write the book. I want them to take action. I want them to get tools. I want them to start the podcast or grow their podcast or do different things. I want them to monetize their podcast. I want them to understand the power of writing a book and how that sets the stage for you to get on stages, for you to speak in front of other people. I don't want you to be afraid, even if you are introverted or nervous about meeting people. There is going to be a space for you to really grow your craft or tap into the creativity. I want you to know that you can do it. You have the power. It's a matter of taking the bull by the horns. And if you don't do it, who will? You'll just live a life always wishing and dreaming that you had done it.
It's great. Now, on top of all of this, and we'll have, again, all the links in the show notes. Everyone go check it out. Get your tickets. You need to get them right now. And
we have an early bird special. Early bird.
Right, of course you do. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so go to the website. All the information's there. I guarantee you're going to love this. And if you've never met Julie before, you've met her now. So now you have no excuse. You have to go. So on top of that, I'm holding this wonderful book that I love.
Wow, thank you.
Mediacasters is right here.
Thank you, David.
Plug, right? So I bought a copy because I want to support Julie and I want to support Karina as well. So tell me more about the book. I love how you've formatted. I love that you give me space to make notes. You have questions and I can go through this and I can help build out my podcast from the beginning. You have thought through every single element of podcasting for a newbie. Mm-hmm. So tell me, how did the book idea come to be? And tell me more about the book.
Well, I've written about all the things I love to do in terms of creativity. And it just so happened, I partnered with Karina Belizzi and we said, we need to write a book. We were speaking on stage at Podfest Expo a couple of years ago. And we said, we need to have our book done by then. So that kind of lit the fire underneath us. But it really essentially is a workbook that will take you through everything from ideation, branding, executing, what equipment do we love, how to share this podcast with the world, because podcasting can be very isolating. Podcasting can be a lonely sport, if you will. And to be honest, this will give you the tools to know that what you're doing is right or help you course correct as well.
Yeah, there's so much in here. Like I said, again, between you and Karina, you both have thought through this so well that this is really just an A to Z guide on everything you need to know. It's all right here. So I've been going through it myself, and it helps me to make sure I'm not missing a step in the process. And when I'm talking to new podcasters, I tell them to go buy the book because everything they need is right here. Yeah. So
it was like all the people that came to us asking us questions, and we're like, okay, let's put this all together. It's a helpful guide, I think.
When did the book come out?
Oh my gosh. I think 2021. So I always am thinking, there's new things, new tools, techniques we can add to it all the time. It's just a matter of Karina and I having the time to get in and set up a second edition. But for the most part, it's pretty solid, I think, just in terms of getting you the tools you need and to do podcasting correctly.
Yeah. Now, one thing I watched you on camera talking to one of the most influential people in content creation ever. Mm-hmm. And you're sitting there talking to this gentleman who I don't even know how he does everything that he does.
Right.
But you had probably the best conversation with him where he was so focused on you and your questions.
He kept touching my leg all the time during that interview. It's a little secret.
Mr. Gary V.
I love him.
Okay, you got to unpack this.
He was staring at me in that, like it was intense. Like,
I know.
Eyes. And then he was going like this and tapping my leg. And I'm like, I think he has a crush on me. I said as a joke after, but we know that's not true.
Okay, how did this happen? Because that's a guy that gets a lot of attention from people who want a few minutes with him. And again, go back to your questions were amazing. You were so focused on him And you even in that moment, you brought value to him. That's who you are. And that's what I love about talking with you is you were so focused on him and building him up while you're having this conversation. So take us behind the scenes of a moment to interview Gary V, you one-on-one with Gary. How does this happen? And kind of give us some background to this. Come on.
So you could do it too, to be honest. I mean, if you have the access to press. So what I did is apply for a press pass for the show. And if you have connections with the press, I also write for Entrepreneur Magazine, Brains Magazine, Mind Valley. I have connections with press, and I wrote articles for a couple of those magazines on Gary, and I pitched them, and they said, "Sure, come along." I did not know, though, David. I did not know there were going to be 20 cameras filming me. I did not know it was going to be. I thought I was going to be sitting at a table, writing, asking him questions, and then this smart girl right here, she left her notebook where I was brainstorming questions to refer to when I was interviewing him. I left it at the hotel. So I got there. I'm like, oh my gosh, one of my cameramen that came with me, I'm like, Cooper, I can't find my notebook. I can't find my notebook. And he's like, calm down. You know, he was like, who is this hot mess I see in front of me right now? But I told myself, I go, Julie, he's a human being. You know what to ask. You've researched enough. So I just got up there on the table with like all those thousands of people behind me and all these camera people and press around me. And I just winged it. So thank you. It was fun. I don't know how nervous I looked, but I was like, I was relaxed towards the end. But
yeah,
he was a nice guy, really nice. He kept winking at me during the hallways, but he winks at everybody. Just gonna say that for real.
It's amazing. So Gary, if you're listening to this, wow,
Gary.
what a great interview.
Yeah, it was really fun. Really good. It was so fun. So I encourage everyone to try to apply. If something's coming to your town, I encourage you to try to get a press pass, with events, because everybody wants to be seen again. That's the theme here. Everyone wants to be seen and heard, especially if you have a platform. They want to bring people with credentials in. Why not just pitch them? You never know. You can meet someone that you've always idolized.
So, Julie, I want you to take us on a journey with all the contacts you have, with the people that you interact with, the people in your circle, the meetups, the conferences, the interviewing of amazing people in the world. I want to hear what you think. Where are we headed in podcasting, content creation, in a world of AI, all of the things that are going on in the world? How do we have a unique voice, and where are we headed in content creation? What do you think?
Well, you tapped upon it quite early, mentioning AI. I think people are going to harness AI. I would always suggest that you're very cautious about. Actually, I asked that to Gary. He said, AI is the cornerstone of the future. And I thought about this. You have to be very careful in terms of how you use it. Writing a book with ChatGPT, I would not do, but I do use ChatGPT for my show notes. It's helpful if you prompt it correctly. I think there's going to be even more content. It's really staying true to your voice, to your brand. And number one, no matter what, no matter if it's now or in 50 years from now, you need to understand your audience and who you are speaking directly to. That's how you're going to make those connections, and that will never change.
And I love the idea that our true voice, our true opinion, who we are as people, that can't be duplicated by anything at this point. So I think we need to make sure that we show up as our true self when we come to the mic or come to whatever we do, as we write, as we podcast, whatever we do, because who we are in our story is unique to us. And that I don't think that can be duplicated. So I love it. Even while we're doing this today on Zoom, there's a little button on the bottom of my screen, and AI is going to summarize our conversation.
Oh, that's sweet. I need that.
See? Oh. So now that's part of Zoom, built into Zoom. So when we're done here, I'm going to get an email back.
Oh, that is
with
so
a summary
cool,
of our conversation.
Wow.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, that's amazing. That kind of thing to make your life a little bit easier. I think too, podcasting is moving to more highly produced podcasts.
Yeah, right.
And for me, I try that. I've taught myself everything because even if I have a producer, what happens if he or she gets sick or something, I want to know how to be able to do it. It's a lot of work, but for the listener, like for me, I love those more highly produced podcasts.
Yeah. Julie, for an author, a podcaster, content creator, what's one thing you want us to start doing? And what's one thing you want us to stop doing?
Start doing it.
Just start. Okay.
Start doing it. And don't be consumed by, oh my gosh, I'm doing it wrong. Oh my gosh. My voice. I hate the sound of my voice. Everybody pretty much always at the beginning hates the sound of their voice. But just start doing it. Start writing. Be bold in your life. Life is so short. You don't want to have those deathbed regrets. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. And there doesn't have to be a huge investment at the beginning in terms of doing all these projects. Untap your creativity because you're the only one with your story or vision, and we need to hear it. So just start doing it. And stop just thinking about yourself in terms of content creation. Stop putting things out there that's all about what you want to talk about. You want to make sure your content is highly tailored towards your audience. So understand who your audience is or who you want your audience to be.
What about those that are struggling with feeling judged? Like if I put myself out there, Julie, people are going to judge me. People are going to have thoughts about me and I'm going to be evaluated. How do we get past that?
First of all, I have suffered that fear of judgment for sure, especially posting things on social media, being judged. I ask myself, am I a narcissist? I'm putting out all this stuff about me, 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 me. You're not a mind reader. First of all, nobody really cares that much about you. I'm just going to say that nobody cares that much about me. I think the capacity to retain a thought or about somebody else is 20 minutes and they're on to the next thing. People don't sit there and stew and say, oh my gosh, that podcast episode that David did. Oh my golly, it's so bad or it's so crazy or can't believe people don't have that much bandwidth to think about you that much. So get over yourself and understand the greater good of what you're doing.
I think if we knew how often we're judged in every day-to-day life, you would probably shrink into a hole.
Yeah.
People judge your driving. They don't even know who you are. People are standing behind you in line at the store, watching you put your food choices on the belt to buy, going, oh my gosh, I can't believe they eat that. They don't even know who you are. Yeah. They're looking at your clothes. They're looking at how you parent.
Oh, yeah.
You're
that's
judged
a big
for
one.
everything, right?
How you parent is a big one.
Wow. Everything. And if you knew, you wouldn't go outside. So you can handle judgment because you do it every day and you don't even know you're doing it. So I think you'll be okay.
And it's staying aligned to your core values, knowing who you are. You have to be really sure about who you are and what your core values are. And then everything you do, make sure it works in alignment with those core values. So if you have a core value of truth and authenticity, then everything you do should be truthful and authentic.
I love it. Okay. So I would love to have a podcast episode with you that goes for a week because I love talking to you. Come on.
Awesome,
but again, I want to honor your time too, but I love when you walk come onto the stage on Clubhouse Room, there's just it seems like every time you talk,
true.
It's like a mic drop moment.
Really?
It is. It's true. And I know that when you step up and you have a comment, people listen and I listen. So I would love to kind of end off our conversation with kind of that mic drop moment. We're on Clubhouse now. We're full. The room is full. We're talking about content creation. Julie's coming up next up on Clubhouse. Welcoming Julie up to the stage. Julie, welcome. The content today is around how to build a brand for your content. Julie, what do you have to say about building a brand around your content? Go.
Truth is that to understand your brand, this is one thing I remember Steve Jobs saying, what do you want people to say about you after you leave a room? What do you want them to think about you? And then dedicate your life to being that person that, say for David, if David thinks, I want people to think that I am so curious and hungry for knowledge that when I leave a room, they say, wow, David asked such poignant, impactful questions. Understand that, build your brand from there. You have to build your brand first before you start content. But understand, what do you want people to think about or think of you after you leave a room, whether it's live, whether it's on Zoom, whether it's on social audio? How do you want to be remembered? Unpack that, reverse engineer your legacy as a content creator, and then start building it from day one.
One of the things I'm doing on my How to Podcast series is a little mini series called the Appleseed series, based on a quote that I heard.
Okay.
Hey, Julie, this other quote goes, you can count the number of seeds in an apple, but you can't count the number of apples in a seed.
Huh. That's very interesting. I like it.
One seed has unlimited potential.
Yeah.
For apples forever, for a long time, right? So you can't count the potential of one seed. And as we do content, as we reach out into the world, we look at stats, we look at numbers, we look at followers, we look at people who signed up for our conference, we look at who showed up for our meetup. All these things are numbers, but you don't know the impact of that one person that showed up to an event, saw your content, read your book, met you in person, met you virtually, heard you on Clubhouse, and then their life is different because of something you said. That life that's different now impacts their family, their children. Their children are different.
Yeah. Wow.
And now their life is different. How do you measure that, right? The impact goes beyond a number. So share your story, write the book, create the podcast, get on Clubhouse, whatever it is for you, share who you are and realize that your impact goes far beyond anything you can measure. It's exciting.
It reminds me of the butterfly effect.
Right.
You know, a butterfly flaps its wings on one side of the globe and can create a tsunami on the other side of the globe. And you just, you never know about it. But if you're not doing it, nothing happens. If you're not flapping your wings,
there's
no change.
It's time to get your butterfly wings on. Let's go.
Right.
Julie, thank you for making time to do this. Again, where do we go? What's all the stuff? And after that, I have one more question for you. Where do we go?
We just go to Creative Con. This is my flagship. This is my butterfly. Is Creative Con, CRE8TIVE con.com. You can just Google me. Google Julie Lokun, Lokun, and you can find out all the things I'm doing, because there's a lot of fun things. I have my hands in a lot of different pies, but truly it's all because I am a creative and I want to bring that out in everybody I meet.
Awesome. On my Living the Next Chapter podcast, one of my closing questions to my author guests is, the name of the show is Living the Next Chapter. So we're always kind of living the next thing. My question to you, what is the next chapter that you're living right now?
The next chapter is to globally scale this vision of mine and change hundreds of thousands of millions of people's lives and have them gain the confidence to do what they have been born to do.
Well, I can tell you that you have one person sitting in front of you that you've helped change. So thank you for what your impact on me, Julie. Personally.
Thanks, David.
Because I come to the mic, I have a resource from your book. I have you through your meetups. I have you on Clubhouse. You shaped the way I think and how I approach how I podcast, which is now having an impact, and people are listening to my show. But how I do what I do would be different if I hadn't have met you. So your impact is already happening. And that reach is happening outside of even what you can do physically. Other people are taking your message and putting it to practice.
Thank you.
So thank you for being a great example to me personally and to my show.
I'm so grateful for you. I appreciate you, David Campbell.
I want to have you back in the future, and we want to recap after Creative Con, and I want to hear great stories and amazing of what happens. It's going to be amazing.
Thank you.
All right.
So grateful.
I will be there for November's meetup. So if you're listening and you're like, I want to go to this meetup, you need to be there and you need to sign up. So, and I would say for those that are listening, these meetups aren't cheap. And when you have multiple meetups, it gets expensive. So I would just say, if you have an opportunity, support Julie as well and give her a little bit to support what she's doing. And it shouldn't cost her any money from her family's income to do this. So please reach out and do that as well.
Thank you, David.
All right, Julie. Thank you so much.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, it's Dave jumping on here at the end. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for listening to the How to Podcast series. Putting this out there for you. You're starting a podcast and you're like, Dave, the technology is giving me a headache. This editing thing is, I don't know, it's banana pants. I can't figure it all out. And you're thinking, if there was somebody who could help me with my podcast, I would pay them to do the editing for me. Guess what? I'm actually doing that. I have clients now, past guests who've been on the show on one of my other podcasts, on this podcast. I'm doing some podcast consulting. I'm doing podcast editing. I'm helping with people launching their podcast, getting it, all the technology stuff, all getting your podcast in all the players, helping you with your YouTube channel, your website. Oh, it just goes on and on. It goes on and on. And I would love to help you. So instead of going to Fiverr or Upwork, I've been on there. I keep trying to get on for jobs and nobody's paying attention to me. And I need attention. I would rather work with you as a listener of the show. So here's what I'm saying. Go to howtopodcast.ca, leave me a voice message, tell me what you need, and let's work out something that works for you and your budget. And if you need full service or you just need something quick like a drive-through type service, I'm there for you. I got you. And if you like what you hear on any of my 7 podcasts, I can do that for you. I can. And I'd love to work with you because you are amazing. And I'm there to help you, whatever you need. howtopodcast.ca. Reach out, let me know what I can do to help you with your podcast. Thank you for listening. Catch you on the next episode. Take care.